Now, welcome back to the programme. Bernadette Phillips, a former general election candidate and an advocate for social justice and lecturing over the years in WIT. Bernadette, good morning.
Good morning, Damien.
Thanks for joining us. We've got dozens of texts coming in, so keep your texts coming in. I will get to them as many as possible. Bernadette, what do you think about what the government announced last night?
Well, I suppose two words, confusion and frustration. And I think maybe I'm echoing the views of a lot of people out there. And I think, Damien, really, it's that level of uncertainty that people are feeling and experiencing, that maybe we're taking some steps forward, but we're taking many steps back. And people are fine if guidelines are clear, if they can make sense of them, if there's logic behind them. If there isn't, however, people lose confidence very quickly. And I think in kind of connecting to people over the weeks and certainly since last night, I think I'm echoing a lot of people's views on that.
Talk to me about the contradictions that you feel are most apparent.
Well, I suppose I'm looking at them here from the point of view of, say, okay, remote working, and people are saying, yeah, and they're wanting people to do that and businesses support that. But the other side, people are worrying about their children going back to school into classrooms. So they're saying, well, we're told not to go to work, but kids are going back in. So, that's one. The fact of older people, of course, which would be very, very close to my heart in respect of, again, restrictions there, while they're saying, yes, look, exercise judgment, because that's something we've really been campaigning for. The other side of it is that it runs alongside being vulnerable, medical issues, and that's a one-size-fits-all, and it doesn't work. And also, equally, that particular cohort of people, we have been abiding in the main by the guidelines,
that's what Charlie Bird was saying this morning.
Everything we can, and suddenly we find that it's cohorts that's taken out to be spoken to again, And I think the frustration as well, Damien, and I know we've been calling for it, and organisations working with older people, for example, have been calling for it, is please consult with us, talk to us, ask us how we are, how we feel, the direction that we feel, because we're very confident people, and we're well able to make up our own minds about things, and we recognise the need to be safe, to be careful, and all of that. So I think I'm probably doing
you're reflecting. We're only touching on them this morning because I say there's dozens upon dozens of texts coming in. Like, what about the idea a lot of older people may want to go to Mass? You're still allowed to go to Mass if there's 50 people max in the church, and yet older people are told they're not being told not to go to Mass. But is there a contradiction there in how the message?
Well, of course there is. Because if you've been in a group of people 50, and I mean they're basically strangers, or they're neighbours, but they're not family, let's put it that way, and yet you're limited now to 6 for your family again, so all of that adds up to uncertainty. And I suppose I would be saying from a social justice side of it, and it is a social justice issue when we begin to create those gaps between and divides between age groups as well. And that's been something that's been happening over the last number of months in relation to this. Older people cocooning, and there's this whole sense that everybody's vulnerable and all of that. And that just isn't accurate.
Do you think frustration is turning to anger?
Do you know something? I think we're on the tip of that. While we recognise we have a virus, and I mean the other side of it is viruses just don't go away. We recognise that with the flu every year. We recognise with other viruses that we have around. They're very clever, so they mutate and they adjust and adapt. Cleverer than us humans in so many ways. So we've got to learn to live alongside this, but we have to do this with humanity as well. We have to be looking at policies that are bringing people with us rather than against. And my concern is that if it continues in the mode that it is, and government guidelines and uncertainty and confusion, that it will take people away from them. And that's not something we actually need.